To date, we have financed 2,788 youth groups. 2,788 youth groups. A total of 19.6 billion shillings has already gone out to our youth groups. And on record, we have 36,144 beneficiaries of this program to date. This figure, members, keeps changing every week. We have put together another disbursement which will go out at the end of this week, that is tomorrow, of 4 billion shillings, which is going to finance another 7,000 beneficiaries of this program. So we are working and want to demonstrate to you that whatever little you give us, we are able to move forward with it. Now, quickly on the emerging issues. The first one is the issue of the involvement of the youth councillors, the male and female youth councillors at the district level. In this program, we are being accused of putting emphasis on the district youth chairpersons, okay, and leaving out the others. I think that is not true. I think when we reflect on this, we have also to bear in mind the role of the structures we have at the local governments. What is the role of the district youth council? What's the role of the district council? Where do they, I know the youth councillors, the male and the female, are also members of the district youth council, which is chaired by the district youth chairperson. They are also members of the district council, which is chaired by the district. The council is chaired by the speaker, but the local government is chaired by the chairperson. So I'm informed. All right. So, what then happens in this case? Have you also bothered to find out from them what role they want to play? Do you know the role of the district youth council, and do you know the role of the council in the district? If it is clear to them, what role do they play on government programs? Youth Livelihood program is just one of the government programs. What role do these youth councillors play? The two in government programs. Two, does this introduction of the Youth Livelihood program change the role of the youth councillor in regard to government programs? YLP is only an addition to the government programs on the ground. I don't think YLP is going to prescribe specific roles for councillors for YLP. The addition of the district youth chairperson being co-opted on the district technical working committee, and similarly at the sub-county level, the sub-county youth chairperson co-opted on the technical planning committee at the sub-county level, is to ensure three things. One, that the people, the selection of the beneficiaries is being watched by them. They are members and they are ensuring that the interest of the youth is being taken care of. They are also to ensure that the desk appraisal is done properly and the groups that are being approved meet the criteria that have been set for this program. So, in other words, the district youth chairperson is representing the interests of the youth. And I also want to believe that the youth councils are working. And if they're effectively working, then the district youth chairperson is getting views from those people whom he or she is going to represent on the DTPC, and similarly the person at the sub-county level. So for us, the design is based on assumptions that these bodies are all effective and functioning normally. And therefore, by having one person on the committee, and we thought that will help us go a long way. You know, you try to solve a problem, you create another problem. So you will help us much if you only pointed out to us that what role do these councillors want to play? Do they want to sit on the approval like the district youth chairperson? Do they want to get a motorcycle also like the district youth chairperson has been given to mobilize and sensitize, but also coordinating with them? So I think you have to come up very clearly, and let's avoid the situation of giving roles to people which are project specific, when there are bigger roles that they are supposed to play for all the programs of government. You've raised an issue of persons with disabilities. This is a question I've been dealing with, I don't know, for the last 1 year. And it was mainly coming from members of parliament representing persons with disabilities. The question here is, you are not involved in persons with disabilities. And I want to state clearly that this is just arising from the misconception. This program targets youth that is ages 18 to 30, who are unemployed and poor. Within that, we are able to reach out persons with disabilities who are unemployed and poor. We are able to reach out youth who are living with HIV/AIDS and many other categories of youth as already defined. So to imagine that we are targeting persons with disabilities, I think you have to go into the details. Now their argument was that they already have groups of persons with disabilities at the sub-county level, at the district level, covering the whole district. So we should go and finance them as they are. I said yes. What you need to do is to see how we can fit the persons with disabilities, after all they are target, within the design of the program. The program says this youth must be drawn from one village. They should be from within one village. That's the design, and you should appreciate why government in its wisdom says they should be from one village. The reason is we don't have any other security for this program. It is the group, people who know themselves, who are working closely, being monitored by the LC1 and the people who recommend them. If you scatter them all over the place, what other security shall we be left with? So our strength is in the group. But that said, we are saying, you cannot judge our involvement or inclusion of the youth with disabilities in this program on the number of groups which are purely for persons with disability. We know that if in a village you can form a group of 10 to 15 people of purely persons with disability and they meet the criteria, well and good, those can be supported. But there is also an option of persons with disabilities joining other people. I don't want to call them normal people, because all of us are normal. Those who are not persons with what? Disability. And we have succeeded in doing that. And I told the honorable members, allow me put together the information we have. Then you bring in other issues. Honorable Nalule, I must thank her very much. She even organized a forum for persons with disability. And I sent somebody to talk to them. With the data we have, I want to tell you that we have data on persons living with HIV/AIDS who are under this program. Persons who are school dropouts, university graduates, persons with disability. And when we presented this data to them and indicating how many from which district, she gave up on this argument. The persons with disabilities are freely integrated in groups of other people who are not persons with disability. And as we talk now, I want to mention that we have, out of the 36,144 persons who have supported to date, 1,086 of them are persons with disability, which is 3%. We are saying that may not be enough, but we are somewhere, and we are sensitive to the needs of persons with disability. I want to make this point more clear. Youth with disability can be financed in their groups if that group is within one village. Or they can be incorporated in other groups of people who are not persons with disability. And this is how they have been accessing these funds. So these figures alone, we are able to convince them, and we gave them also the details of the projects. They can go and monitor and confirm what we are telling them. I thank you for that one. Strong monitoring mechanism. There are mechanisms that we have on the ground, of course, also including the district youth leadership at the district level and the sub-county level. One thing I want to mention here is that this program has an M&E strategy which is being implemented. And you should also understand that this program has been mainstreamed into the operations and structures of the local governments and at the center. So we are using the structures at the local governments to do the monitoring. And in addition, we have attempted to strengthen the role of the youth councils represented by the district youth chairperson and the sub-county youth chairpersons. Now, the limitations, and I want to agree with you on this, it also depends on the capacities of the local government. In some instances, we have limited staffing at that level. And the other issue is that operationally, we have limited funds to finance operations. You know, when you have a budget of 53 billion and you're given 19 billion, operations also are cut proportionally, 10%. When you give 35, you also get 10%. You see, that is where our problem is. So sometimes this monitoring does not come cheap. It is quite expensive. People need fuel, people need allowances to move out there. So we are constrained. So what we want to say is that we have a strong mechanism, but the implementation may be the challenge in terms of the capacities of the local government staffing-wise, or the availability of funds to do this. This has helped us, the mechanism we have has helped us in detecting and fixing some of the challenges that we've had in this program. The youth chairpersons have been very, very useful to us. Any single problem they see, they are calling our office, and we have responded. I want to tell you, we're dealing with very difficult, sometimes very difficult people in this country. You are here asking and pressing the MPs, please give us more money, give us more money, give us more money. When the money comes, some of you develop evil minds. You want again to divert the money. But you have been able to help us, these youth chairpersons. You have given us quick feedback, and we have responded. I don't want to cite examples here, but in this program, I want to tell you that some people even have been locked up, and the monies they attempted to divert have been recovered. There is an issue of resource allocation, that bigger districts are being allocated less money. I think a specific case mentioned here is Kibale, that was given 400 million. I want to tell you that we don't have any other criteria of allocation of resources under this program, apart from what you see in the document. We base the resource allocation on the poverty count, on the population of the youth in that district, and the size of the district. So these are the three parameters we use, which are weighted to allocate resources to the districts. So if you went through that formula, now we have new census figures, they have not been formally communicated. We shall use that to revise the allocations. If there are changes, especially in population and poverty, we should be able to revise. But the figures we have used are those that were given by UBOS, and this formula we have used is what they call the equalization formula, which is used to allocate development grants in the local governments. So size taken care of poverty and population. So if you are asked, why did we get this? That's the formula that was used. Maybe I go to some of the specific concerns that have come out from these group discussions. The information flow, Kampala was given limited time, and maybe others. I think this, I agree with you, that we had a problem with the KCCA initially. They delayed to open an account to start the initial processes, and they needed money to do that. So this caused pressure towards the end, and you know what happens under pressure. But we are happy that KCCA was able to do what they have presented to us, and by last week, I want to announce to you that KCCA is demonstrating what they can do best. The level of recovery in KCCA from the groups that are benefited is very, very promising, and we're very happy with KCCA on that. They also point out that there are not enough technical staff. I think this is what I've already talked about. Not enough facilitation, I've already talked about this. Existing funds not matching the applicants. We have overwhelming demand. I won't say, as of now, it's like we have been able to finance only 20% of the interest expressed by the youth. So that indicates to us a very big gap, and we want to appeal to our MPs present here that this is an area for you to look at. Technically, we've already put our case to Minister of Finance, and we need you to back us up in this area. Sarah, Masindi, youth more than the youth in the entire district, in the municipality. Now, why should the municipality get less than the other one? I already told you the parameters for allocation. It applies also to the municipalities. People, why don't we finance only existing groups? Have we been told that we don't want to finance existing groups? The guidelines are very clear. Existing groups have also to be subjected to the selection criteria as set out under YLP. Because many groups are there, they are formed for different objectives. But we want to make sure they fit within the criteria of YLP. And many groups have been financed in this way. But we don't want to assume that all the youth are already in groups. There are also new groups which are coming up. So the other window is to take care of those who want to put themselves together in groups. And they are also being subject to the same criteria. So we finance both existing and new groups, but both have to be subjected to the selection criteria of YLP, as clearly set out in the documents that are being distributed to you. That projects are not working in some areas. Okay? So why don't you allow us to select a project in Jinja, then go and implement it in Kibale? You see, it can be very dangerous. The moment you open that window, you are sure of getting ghosts. You go to a village, because we have given all this information to the different relevant organs of government. The RDC's office, the intelligence agencies, they all have this information and they are monitoring. So if you give it that this project is located in this village, in this area, and they go there and they don't find, that automatically becomes what? A ghost. Because people will use the name of transferring projects to other places to make you not know what they have utilized the money for. So as much as possible, we encourage you that if you choose a project in a given locality, you must implement it there. That means you have to go into more serious thinking on the viability of the projects within the areas. Fortunately, you are not doing it alone. We have experts on the ground who are helping you in doing the viability analysis. So if there are cases that you think are coming up, I think these are things that we can share moving forward. But as of now, we are implementers of something that has already been approved by Cabinet and also approved by the Parliament of Uganda. I don't want to be seen to be falling short in following the guidelines when I'm supposed to be the custodian of the guidelines. But when you raise issues like release of funds, seasonal, especially for seasonal projects like agricultural projects, this has also been my concern. But I want to tell you that from our side in the ministry, we have not caused any delay in release of project funds. We have not. I want to tell you, as soon as we receive the proposals, we try our best to make sure we finance within 2 weeks. And the district focal persons know this. We are asking them to make submissions. Right now, we are working on one, having made another disbursement last week. Now we are making one this week. So if there are delays at all, there are many stakeholders that are responsible for this. In most cases, it's at the district level where delays are. But if you inform us, we should be able to tackle this also with them so that we address this. But I've also advised some of you who have contacted us that if you know that the money sent right now may not be put into proper use because the season has passed, sit as a district, make your recommendations, send to us, and we shall review and advise you accordingly. I have had a few cases from the district chairpersons, and that has been my advice. There was a member who mentioned, I don't know which region, that even grandparents, but if a grandparent is a youth, why not? It is only if a grandparent is not what? A grandchild. It's only when a grandchild is not a youth that you may raise issues. But I want to tell you, I feel a little bit disturbed when you raise that question to me at the center. When we have planted you, the youth chairperson at the district, to be looking at all these files before they come to us, and you are asking me at the what? At the center. What do you expect me to do? And I want to tie up this with what I was saying, that there is a district where there is a ghost. It was not mentioned that there is a district where there is a ghost. I want to state categorically here that YLP cannot have ghosts. Cannot have ghosts. Because when you look at a YLP file, there is a list of beneficiaries with their photographs. Okay? And this selection was done in the presence of the youth chairperson of a sub-county. This process, the group that has been sent to us, must have been appraised. There must have been a desk appraisal. And they fill the form, and that form, the people who participated, is also, the list is also there and they have signed off. These projects are approved at the district level. With the review checklist, all these are filled and signed off. So when you tell us there's a ghost, we know where to get a ghost. These ghosts have pictures, these ghosts are people who have proved to them, if they are there. So we go back to the first person who participated in the selection. It's not for fun that we have those provisions. So just tell us there's a ghost here, and all the people who are responsible for that will be answerable, including refund of funds which they have cost to be put somewhere. So he has not told us, but if he tells us, we will see what will happen. We take action, and very swiftly. Okay? Clear procedure of proof of age. There is no clear procedure of proof of age. You know, our documents are very, very flexible. And of course, taking into interest, concern and interest, the challenges that we see as youth. We see the youth in town, we see the youth in the rural areas. One, we need evidence of age. And this can come in form of birth certificates, those who have them, baptismal cards, voters' cards, And of recent, we also have the forms or the sheets you are given when you register to the national ID. So these are some kinds of documents that you can use as evidence. But even in the absence of this, the guidelines say, where you reach a fix and there is no documentary evidence, you now use the knowledge of the local community that we have this person, is or she is presenting her or himself as a youth. What does the community say in the presence of the LC1? And you document that so that we don't lock out people who are actually youth. The community now will be the one to recommend that we know so-and-so is an age mate of so-and-so, and so-and-so, this age is this, so therefore they are around there. You document that this was resolved by the community. Because we want to minimize errors of inclusion and exclusion in selection of beneficiaries. So the strength here is the recommendation of the community and must be documented. Now, given that people are doubting this, I think what you are telling us now is that if a youth does not provide documentary evidence, we lock you out. Is that what we want to resolve? If you are resolving it, please put it in your documents. We shall again push it to the next level. But as of the new districts now, we are emphasizing documentary evidence, and little of this just committee knowledge which might be biased. Rwenzori quarterly meetings, I agree with you, we need review meetings, and we've already started with this. Those of you who are in phase 1 know that we called a meeting in Friday, and we had a very good sharing that has helped us to improve on some of the gaps that have been identified. Reward for the best performance, if you read our documents, under transparency, accountability, and corruption, we have a provision for reward and sanctions. So it's not new. What we have to discuss further is what form of reward, but it's already provided for. This reward will be based on the absorption. How well have you absorbed what has been allocated to you? What about the quality of projects that you have approved? We'll be considering that, and we'll also be considering the recovery, because these are revolving funds which are supposed to be recovered. In fact, if I was to reward it today, I would be rewarding Kayunga and Kabarole, if I was to reward it today. So we are already tracking this, and once we are at a certain point where we agree we should be giving rewards, we shall be announcing to you. I don't want to announce the worst performance. They are also in this room. I don't know to mention now. We shall discuss that later. The issues of motorcycles for the municipalities. This has come time and again, and it's a budgetary issue. Again, it depends on the resources that we shall get. We'll consider it, and I will share with my permanent secretary to see if Minister of Finance gives us a fair allocation. It's one of the things that is already being considered. Northern Uganda, we are using emails for communication. I won't say the formal communication from the ministry to the district, if it is technical, is signed by the permanent secretary, and then it goes straight to the chief administrative officer. That's the hard copies. If we see that the hard copy may reach you a little later, what we do is once the letters are signed, we scan them and email to you. But it's not true that all our communications are email. Sometimes we scan and send you an advance copy. And in most cases, I think the chairman of the National Youth Council can confirm this, all our communications on YLP are copied to the district youth chairpersons. But in some cases, if they are put in one envelope and delivered to the central registry of the district, I don't know where they disappear. So those who have come back to us, we have taken trouble to give them copies. And I've also encouraged my program officers, if they are to email the advance copies to the counts, they should also copy the district youth chairperson so that everybody is in the know of what is happening. Someone was asking that they expected 10% of the money to go for operations in the district, but in some cases they have seen that the operation funds less than 10% according to their computation. I want to tell you, what comes to the district is not only the money used for monitoring, supervision, and other things. There are other items which are also procured for the district. Like you have the motorcycles. This is also part of the operation funds. You have the bicycles. It's also part of the operation funds. So some of these were procured at the center and still the same amount of money. So the global picture is that 90% of the money is for projects, 10% is for operations, and these operations are at the national level, at the district level, and we also have a small percentage, about 1%, with the Inspectorate of Government, because we work together with the Inspectorate of Government in the implementation of this program. Karamoja, the Ghost Project, I've talked about that. People are attempting to politicize the program. I think Honorable has already talked about it. We are targeting the youth. No matter what your political affiliations may be, we are targeting the youth, and that must be very, very clear. I'm happy. We used to have complaints in some districts that, you know, the leadership of the district is purely DB, so they cannot approve NRM. So I said, how do they know NRM and DB when the applications come? But later on, the people who were reporting got back to us saying, yes, with the intervention, we've been able to get funding when even they are dropped. There was even a district, some of the things you are saying are actually true. There's a district where the district executive committee threw out 2 projects along those lines. 2 projects were thrown out, which had been recommended by the district technical planning committee. But for us to insist on this documentation, when we review the documentation from the technical planning committee, the projects have been approved. When we reached there, they were declared for flimsy reasons. So what we said and what we did at the time was to write the CAO to say, based on the technical decision taken, we're going ahead to finance this project. So all you have to do for us is give us information. We shall do as much as we can to make sure we rescue the situation. And this we have done, we have evidence on this. How much is allotted to the groups? I think this is a question from Honorable One. I think what is clear is that we have a general guideline that if a project is to be approved in a district, it has a threshold of 12.5 million Uganda shillings. But in exceptional cases, if there are unique projects whose budgets go beyond 12.5 million shillings, those are submitted for approval at the national level. And we have an absolute cap of 25 million shillings. So that's the only guidance we have given to the groups. And we're also telling the groups, don't go and budget for 12.5, don't go and budget for 25. Budget naturally for what their project requires. And some groups have asked for 1.9 million, and we have given them. One of the groups who gave 1.9 million has paid everything. What they wanted to do was something you would think is, which most youths would despise. They were making kabalagala. Now they have made the kabalagala, they have paid off the money, they have expanded their business. So it depends on the need of the group. And we're not saying don't get tied to 12.5, just budget naturally, and that's what we look at. But when the budgets come, they are subjected to reduce, both at the district and at the national level. In certain instances, we have found situations where groups have under-budgeted. They have under-budgeted. For instance, in poultry, they may be providing for birds without adequately providing for feeds and the drugs. So technically, they advise that we adjust this budget. So in some cases, you'll find that some budgets are raised beyond what they have requested for, while others, which have been detected to have over-budgeted, are adjusted. And this is technical advice. When this is done, it's communicated to the groups that this is the adjustment which has been made, and the reasons are A, B, C, D. So to answer your question directly, adjustments are made. It can be either upwards or downwards, depending on